The baby giant who was afraid of ants. Once upon a time, at the very top of the Misty Mountains, lived a baby giant named Barnaby. Barnaby was quite small for a giant, only about the size of a two-story house. But he had a heart as big as a canyon and a laugh that sounded like rolling thunder. However, Barnaby had a secret. While his brothers and sisters spent their days wrestling boulders and playing catch with storm clouds, Barnaby stayed inside his cave, tiptoeing across the stone floor. Barnaby was terrified of ants. To Barnaby, ants weren't just insects. They were tiny, silent explorers with wiggly antennae and too many legs. He was convinced that if he stood still for too long, they would carry him away, bit by bit, to their underground kingdom. One sunny morning, Barnaby's mother set a giant bowl of honey porridge on the porch to cool. "Stay outside and play, Barnaby," she called. "The fresh air will make you grow." Barnaby sat on a stump, swinging his massive feet. Suddenly, he saw it. A tiny, black dot moving across his big toe. "Wah!" Barnaby shrieked. He jumped so high he bumped his head on a cloud. He scrambled back into his cave, heart thumping like a drum. "It's just a little ant, Barnaby," his sister Griselda laughed, tossing a pine tree like a javelin. "He's a million times smaller than you." But Barnaby didn't care. He hid under his patchwork quilt, which was made of 42 sails from old ships, and stayed there until sunset. The next day, while Barnaby was sulking near a mountain stream, he heard a tiny, high-pitched voice. "Help! Someone! Please!" Barnaby looked down. He looked left. He looked right. Finally, he looked at a pebble near his left pinky toe. There, trapped under a fallen leaf, was a very small, very panicked ant. Barnaby's first instinct was to run, but the ant looked so frightened, shaking its little legs and waving its antennae in distress. Barnaby realized that to this ant, a single leaf was like a fallen mountain. "Don't worry," Barnaby whispered, his voice trembling. "I've got you." Using just the very tip of his fingernail, which was as large as a dinner plate, Barnaby gently lifted the leaf. The ant scrambled out, stood on its hind legs, and waved. "Thank you, big friend," the ant squeaked. "I'm Arthur. I was out scouting for crumbs when that leaf attacked me." Barnaby blinked. You're not going to carry me away?" Arthur laughed, a sound like a tiny silver bell. "Carry you? You're bigger than our whole city. We're actually quite big fans of yours. You dropped the best cracker crumbs in the whole mountain range." Barnaby smiled. He realized that Arthur wasn't scary. He was just a little guy trying to make his way in a very big world. From Kinar on, Barnaby wasn't afraid anymore. He even started leaving small piles of sugar stones outside his cave door. And if you ever visit the Misty Mountains, you might see a giant toddler sitting very still in the grass, whispering stories to a tiny black dot on his knee. Barnaby learned that being a giant isn't about how big you are, but about being big enough to help those who are small.